Hey everybody, it's your lovely Lotus Blossom Lizzie, and today we're going to be doing another art journal page. So grab your stuff and art journal with me. So of course, the first thing that I'm going to do is protect the spine of my pages here with just some packing tape, and that helps things to not drip through. Oh, before we get started really deep into this, I just wanted to say, if these are the type of videos that you like, please make sure that you subscribe and also hit the notification button so that you'll be notified when more videos like this one come out. So I am going to prepare my pages here in my homemade art journal, which is just a magazine basically. I'm going to give it like give the pages some girth basically. So I got some scrap pages out, and I really don't mind things showing from up under the gesso that I'm putting down. So I'm putting down some gesso to help the pages to stick down here, but also to prepare the pages to accept all the painting goodness that I'm going to be doing. Now, I didn't put down as much gesso as I did on the last spread that I did, and that's because I really wanted to encourage the images to kind of come forward, and so that's why I didn't put as much gesso down. But I put enough down so that I didn't have to worry about, things kind of seeping through the page basically. So the next thing that I wanted to do was to, of course, dry the page. I want to make sure it was good and dry before I started cutting off the excess here. And that's the way I like to do it. Instead of trying to line things up on the edges, it's just easier for me to be a slob and let things hang all over the side and then cut everything off, and then everything's nice and even. So that kind of works out for me. You should try it. And then I also removed the excess packing tape that I had in the middle. Now, I have forgotten that what I would like to do with this book is to make sure that I have at least like 2 pages glued back to back, and I forgot to do that. So I went back in and I glued that left page on. Now, I couldn't do that with the right side because there's some artwork on the other side, so I couldn't do that. So I took out my gelatos for today. So this is my paint medium for today for my background. It's some gelatos. And these are some pastel gelatos. I took out some red, some orange, and some pink. And when you're using gelatos, you need to actually put lots of water down. So this is a good reason to use the gesso as well, because the gesso will help the water to flow instead of the water soaking into the paper, if that makes sense. So I wanted to make sure that I use lots of water. Now, what happened though is that since these are pastel colors, they were really light, and I wanted them to have a much richer color. Of course, when they're wet, they look very rich, but once they dry, as you can see, they lighten up quite a bit. So I had to work it. So I put the video on turbo for this. You'll see for a lot of this video, it's in turbo mode because it's just pieces that I didn't want to cut out, because I wanted you to kind of see the pages developing, but at the same time, it was a lot of repetitiveness going on. So I hope you appreciate the turbo-ness and it doesn't make you crazy that the video is going so fast. But I wanted you to be able to see how the layers were developing. So next, I'm just taking out some of my mammy made my mammy made stamps that I made, and I made these wonderful leaves, and I really like them. I guess I shouldn't call them mammy made because they're mine. I own it. I like the way they came out, and if you've watched any of my videos, you know that I don't mind the imperfectness of things that go down on the page. So these were just beautifully imperfect, and I think I made like 4 different stamps, and originally I was only going to use like purple and like that navy color, And then I decided to let me get some more different colors out and see how this is going to work out. And I'm glad I did, because it has lots of very nice contrast going on. So again, you can see why I put the video on turbo, because again, it's a lot of repetitiveness at each step. So I had a lot of leaves that I decided that I was going to put on this page. And of course, just like most of the spreads that I do, I had no idea where this page was going to go when I first started. I did know that I wanted to use the red, the orange, and the pink as a base, and maybe use the leaves, but after that, you know, it's like I didn't know what I was going to do. So the next thing I did was I took out this vine, and I also made this vine as well. And but I didn't want it to be too dark, so what I did was I would stamp it in the archival ink, and then I would stamp it on the white sheet of paper, and then I would kind of do like a shadow print over onto the actual layout itself. And I like that a lot better. I'm glad that I did put the vines in there, because it kind of broke up the leaves a bit, and it actually gave me like that jungle feel. You know what I'm saying? Like my artwork had, like, you know, I had jungle fever in my artwork. So then I pulled out some butterflies, because I was like, you know, we need like some life going on in here. So I pulled out some butterflies, and these are some die cuts that I actually sell pre-made butterfly die cuts over in the shop. So if you're interested, you can go over to pleasantcreations.com, and you can check out the mixed media, scrapbooking, and journaling items over there. That's at pleasantcreations.com. That's my shameless plug, y'all. So I had these text butterflies as well. So I wasn't sure how I was going to do it, but I wanted to incorporate them. But the first thing I wanted to do was to kind of give them all an edge, because with this page, there's a lot going on. So I just felt like every element really needed a frame. So that's what I did with the butterflies. And then I decided to layer the butterflies and give them some dimension. But first, you know, we have to make them look like butterflies, right? So I gave them a body. And then I also kind of went in with my gold Uniball pen, and then also my white Uniball pen, and I just kind of added some dots. So it's kind of hard to see on the camera, but they actually have a little bit of color on top of those text pages. So the next thing I want to do was kind of attach the butterflies together, since they're kind of, it's like they're one butterfly. It's the text page and then the other material. So I decided to use my glue stick, but then I was thinking, you know what? These have dimension, and I know once I close the book, it's going to flatten them out, but they'll still have a little dimension, but I want them to have some strength. So I took out my Tim Holtz tiny stapler, and I stapled them in the middle. And I did all four of the little butterflies that way. And then the next thing was I wanted to make sure that they were going to stick on the page and not come off. So I took out some Aleene's tacky glue, and this stuff is very strong once it actually dries. Now, I probably could have used like some double-sided tape, because that's pretty strong too, but I think I'm okay with the decision to use the glue, and it dries pretty quickly as well. So not super fast, but quick enough where I could still work on the page and not have any problems. And I love the way the dimensional butterflies look. It looks like they're flying off the page. So that's wonderful. And then I was looking at the page and I was like, what else could I do to this page to make it look even more beautiful? So I decided to take out first I took the Uniball pen out, and I tried to do some circles, but I found that the paint on the page was lifting. So then I took out my Craft Smart paint pen, and I used that, and I just kind of did some dots. And then I was thinking, I think I can go a little bit further with this. Of course, I was a little bit nervous, but then in your mind, you have to say you can't be nervous when you're doing mixed media. You just got to go for it. So I took out my Stettler pen and I did a little test at the bottom and I wasn't happy with that. So then I took out I have some Artist Loft brush pens. I said, well, let me try those and see how that looks. And I was very happy with the results once I started kind of tracing around the leaves. And then I was thinking, man, this is going to be a long video because there's a lot of leaves on this page, but I was really happy with the ones up there in that left-hand corner. And I said, you know what? I'm going to keep on going. And I also used the green brush pen for the vines as well. So I didn't want to cut this out, but I did put it on turbo so that you can see the page developing. I thought it would be fun to kind of see it. Have you ever seen like those artist drawings where the guy is drawing things, he's drawing it real fast and you kind of see things come together and you're like, ooh, that is so cool. So that's the effect I'm going for with this. And again, this is another one of those repetitive moments where I knew nobody was going to want to watch, me just go through and trace everything. But at the same time, I didn't want to cut it off because again, you can see how the page is developing and it has like some very nice layers going to it. So I wanted to definitely keep those in. Now I also thought about bringing in maybe, more wildlife, but I didn't really have any more stamps for wildlife. So I just had to go with the butterflies and I love butterflies. So it worked out perfectly. So we still have the right side to go and it's actually on turbo. So I'm just going to let you all watch this while I watch with you in silence. To say, when I was drawing this, I don't know why I didn't think about it that paint was still wet coming out of the Artist Loft brushes. Now the paint in those are watercolors, I believe, so they weren't quite dry, and of course I put my arm in it, so you'll always see me kind of show you my arm, and that's what I'm showing you. I have like a tattoo on my arm from the leaves. I was quite amazed at how things really those leaves popped after I actually traced things, because I was going to leave them without them being traced. So I'm so happy I went back in and I did that. There it is, my tattoo. I was also happy with the effect of the vines because I didn't make them so dark. So they still stood out nicely, but they didn't really take over the page. So I was happy about that also. I was happy about a lot of things on this page. Now, this part always makes me nervous, and that's writing something on the page because, I always talk about my handwriting. I guess it's not that bad, but I have to practice a little bit before I actually start because I don't know how to do that fancy writing. But man, I'll tell you, I wasn't happy with the last word that I put on there because it was a bit crooked. And I was like, I did all that work and that word is so crooked. I didn't know how to fix it. But I just said, you know what, I'm going to have to go with it. And so I took out some tiny words from one of the Tim Holtz books, and I put some glue on the back just to make sure it stayed down. Since I had so much paint and, from the ink and the watercolors, I want to make sure it stayed down. So I put some glue behind it. And then I outlined it with my Micron pen, and I gave it a little dusting from the distressed ink as well to kind of take that white down. And then I also decided it's not enough on this page. So I'll put another little strip down as well, and I gave it the same treatment. Then I was thinking it must be some kind of way that I can kind of disguise that I had coming kind of like crooked. So I was going to use that heart, and then I said, you know what? The heart is really out of place in this layout. I'm not going to do it. So I just decided to just leave it. I can come back later if I feel like it and maybe do something different. But I said, for now, I'm just going to leave it like it is, and I'm going to let it fly. I'm going to let it fly like the butterflies are flying on this page. And then, of course, I wanted to give the page its nice frame. So I took some of the Tim Holtz Distress ink, and this is the Vintage Photo, I believe. I've tried some of the other ones, but the Vintage Photo just works best. And it really is like just a very light outline. And you can see it better in the pictures that I'll show at the end here. And then I just put a little bit down the middle because it was still a bit white. And then that was pretty much it. Now I did go back in and I used my gold Uniball pen, and I signed the side and I put the date. I'm trying to get used to putting the date on here. And then also I did forget, I think I just said it, but I forgot one of the vines and I had to fix that. But overall, the page came out amazing. And if you could see it in person, you'd be like, Liz, that's something else, Liz. That is something else. So, of course, I would love to know in the comments below what your favorite part of this layout was. Did you enjoy the turbo speed, or did it drive you absolutely nuts? So with that, I'm going to say love, peace, and hair grease. From your sweet lotus blossom and lovable Lizzie, have a fantabulous day and enjoy life.